A strange man suddenly came into my home. He wanted to look for valuables, but I couldn't see him at all. So I took a piece of bread and sat in the corner eating. Tony didn't care about my presence. He kept searching around, but after checking every spot, he still found nothing. So he asked me where the jewelry was hidden, but he didn't know I couldn't see him. At that moment, he was also trying to get my attention, but I just kept quietly chewing my bread. Tony finally realized I was deaf and mute, so I would never give him any response. Tony felt completely frustrated because my mom owed him a lot of money that day at work. My mom never showed up. Tony waited a long time until he finally got her call. He was about to get angry, but on the other end came the voice of the police. It turned out my mom slipped on a rainy day and passed away. She left behind only a phone and a set of keys, and in the phone contacts there was only Tony's number. The police said the deceased had no relatives. Only a 7-year-old me was left alone at home, so he followed the address and came to my place. He wanted to find valuables to cover the debt, but he found nothing at all, so he called my dad. But my dad only said they were divorced, and hung up right after. Tony smoked on the balcony out of anger. When I smelled the smoke, I thought my mom had come back. I pounded the floor, urging her to hurry over. When Tony came close, I threw myself into his arms. But after feeling his face, I realized he wasn't my mom. I screamed in fear. The scream caught the landlord's attention. Tony didn't want to get caught. He quickly covered my mouth, but I bit him hard. The landlord finally realized someone was inside and started banging on the door. Tony had no choice but to open it, but before he could speak, the landlord mistook him for my dad. She complained that he was irresponsible, that he hadn't checked on me for so long. She also said the rent would go up when the lease ended next month, and if he didn't want to stay, she could just return the deposit. Hearing that gave Tony an idea. He would use the deposit to cover my mom's debt, so he admitted he was my dad, and said they would move out next month. After the landlord left, Tony went back to the company, but his co-workers told him that the boss had already fired him. So Tony decided to move in and live with me. At the door, I touched Tony's leather shoes and realized the stranger was still in the house. I was scared, but there was nothing I could do. So I squatted under the table chewing my mom's leftover bread. Maybe out of sympathy, he bought 2 bowls of noodles and handed one to me, but I only sniffed it and didn't eat because I was afraid to take food from a stranger. To ease my worry, he hid his shoes on purpose and threw away the expired moldy bread. He thought that would make me feel safe. But when I couldn't find the bread, I became furious and kept shouting loudly. Tony quickly brought me the noodles, but I knocked them over. He finally lost his patience, so he bought me another bag of bread while he sat aside eating noodles. But then I smelled the aroma of noodles. I slowly walked over to Tony and grabbed a handful to stuff in my mouth. He was helpless, so he gave the noodles to me. From that moment on, I realized the stranger meant me no harm. So I gradually let down my guard. When I slept, I leaned against him, but I often couldn't stop myself from crying because I knew my mom would never come back. Now Tony has become my only support.